Hi, beautiful souls. This is Pamela with Pamela's Tarot Tales, and I am doing hashtag 31 Days of Tarot 19. Today we're going to discuss prompt 14, which is what tarot deck gives you the most insight from images and symbology rather than intuition and traditional book meaning, I guess. I'm not sure I fully understand this question, because as a primarily intuitive reader, everything sparks the intuition. Everything is read intuitively for me. Everything, all the images provoke that. And so I guess I took it more as what deck, and I think this is kind of where, at least according to my understanding, is which deck has the most symbolic imagery that gets you thinking, that starts your intuition, that can help you call on those symbols to emphasize meaning, and that can go together with your intuition. So I chose two decks. The first one is the Brady Tarot, and this deck, I'm actually just starting to get to know it, and it's not only a gorgeous deck, it's a pretty profound deck. Everything is thought about. The color of the borders, this is for air, this is for cups for water, this is, I mean, the naming of the suits, the drawings, the imagery, they're very loaded with meaning, and how you look at them and how they interact, how those symbols interact, and how the inherent meaning of the animal interacts with the meaning of the card, and what does that bring to it. And this particular animal deck, the creator has done an awesome job of having reasons for her animal associations, and they do make sense, and they are brilliant. And Rachel Pollack wrote the book, and adding that layer of information, but picking up on colors, picking up on textures, picking up on the things moving through the images. There's so much to look at in these, which, it's kind of a shame it was a double border, because that makes it smaller, it makes it harder to see, and there's a lot going on in these cards. So this one, I would say, it's taken me longer to get for it to be fully intuitive. I mean, I still read it intuitively, but it is a little bit more, for me, reading the book, so that I can understand what the creator meant, how that interacts with the energies of the card and the symbology that happens there. They're just amazing. They're amazing. And I think that this deck is one that does get me thinking. It does, it's not automatically super intuitive and easy. It's a slower getting to know, really looking at it, really going into deep contemplation with these cards and these energies. For me, it is. Other people, it may not be, and that's awesome. But so yeah, that's kind of how I take this to understand this cards, or this question. So that's the Brady Tarot. There's a full walkthrough of that deck in my videos. I will try to link that below. And so the other one that definitely sparks, that has a lot of symbology and a lot of intricate representations that get you thinking and looking at, and associations, is the Star Tarot by let's say McClellan. And I have a full trimmed version of this deck. In my videos, I have a comparison of a partial trim and a full trim, and how I did that and why. Check it out, it's pretty cool. This was gifted to me in a full trim, and so I decided to keep it for myself as full trim, but I decided to gift it to another person in partial trim. So So anyway, this deck is, it was gifted to me without the book, and I do have the book on its way, but it's intuitive and I read it intuitively, but I really look at the images for all the symbols, looking for meanings through imagery, through all the layers of information, but I do that through seeing what pops up forth first. Sometimes it's this dolphin, or sometimes maybe it's this dove, or maybe it's the way that the cups are kind of hidden and murky, or maybe, you know, there's lots, or the star that time. And so when I read intuitively, those things pop forward, and this deck has so many things that can pop forward and not just one or two. So it's loaded with some symbolism in the imagery. And that can change every reading, and just like every cards can. And you know, like I said, I tend to read that way anyway for any deck, but this one I do like a lot because it has so much information. It has so much color too, and sometimes that pops forward, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes this is a mirror image, or this is, you know, male and female with the warm and the cold, or the sun and the moon, or, you know, things like that, and looking at how that is working with this moon and sun and comparison of imagery, and then looking at how this relates to the sky or the wings or what's happening back here. You know, there's just so much in this deck, and it's not a traditional deck, which is what I like about it. So it gives me a lot to ponder. It gives me a lot to explore. It gives me a lot to go into and play with. And I enjoy that. But still has references and to the Rider-Waite-Smith. Yeah. So I think this one gives me a lot from the symbology. And I'm looking forward to, I've heard really good things about the book, and I think that that's going to even add more depth to what I'm already getting from them. But I'm excited to see what she says about all these things, because there's a lot of stuff in there. All right, so I hope that I understood that question correctly. I do have kind of a hard time with it, again, because I'm so intuitive, and that's just my MO. That's just how I function. So, and I think that the way that we develop our intuition is through looking at imagery and looking at symbols, and that triggers. That's what that's partly what intuition is, especially when you're reading artwork. When we're reading cards, we're reading artwork, and as a trained artist, I'm I'm trained to be able to do that. So anyway, that is day 14. So like and subscribe and check out my other videos. Thank you. Have a great day.